the opportunity to attend a forum in Kansas City regarding immigration in this nation, the United States of America, and that's an issue that is discussed a great deal. And also the fact that we are getting ready to celebrate Cinco de Mayo tomorrow, and a lot of us are having festivities celebrating Cinco de Mayo. And I was discussing and talking with some people there at the political hearing where the congressman was speaking about the issue, about what I think are some of the important issues about immigration and about uniting, especially the American people in this nation. When I was a teenage girl, my mother volunteered some time working in the office at Teen Challenge. And she met a young man that was a Hispanic young man that lived with our family for some time. And he was a blessing, worked with the family, was there for a few years, and then he has lived in Texas, and he's a teacher. He's gotten a master's degree in teaching. And so I was thinking to myself about the immigration issue, about Americans agreeing on different aspects of what's going on in the nation and how funds and the economy, how things are being spent. And I listened to some of the argument or the dialogue about immigration and the specifics of the issue there, and I thought to myself, and I was saying to, as a matter of fact, I was talking with Cindy Serco, who was there, who my kids have attended schools with her kids, and I think she is the mayor pro tem there in Kansas City. But I was discussing with her some of the facts about what I think are important issues. I've been to Ellis Island. I have been to the place where they have the Statue of the Liberty, and I've seen the Statue of Liberty. And most of us have been taught in school about how it talks about where it says, "Give me your tired, your weary, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to be free." And it was about immigration and how that many of us and our own families were immigrants to this nation. And so I think the issue is in itself not as much the fact that people are terribly concerned, I guess, about immigration as they are that I guess when people come here, it's kind of like, I believe it was a Democratic president, it was John Fitzgerald Kennedy, who made the statement and said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And that's the way a lot of people feel like today. Whenever people come here, they want to know that they're coming here to work hard, to be a part of the economy, to be a blessing in the nation and the economy, to have stable families, and for what they can give back to the nation. The fact of the matter is, right now in this nation, we are in a record deficit. There are a record number of people on food stamps, and I believe that the military has been weakened farther than it should have been by the fact that so much has been put into a massive healthcare system. And I was talking there with some of the people about, I said, you know, I think there are millions of people in this nation that view a lot of the issues like myself, probably billions throughout the world, where we see ourselves as we are concerned about the moral and the social issues, and many of us are concerned about the direction that the nation and the world is going to take for our kids, our grandkids, our great-grandkids, wanting to leave them a stable world to live in. And I was talking about as well another issue that I believe that is of great concern in the Hispanic community, I say, because that's what the hearing today specifically was about, immigration, and much of it was about the Hispanic community. I read about the fact that there is domestic violence that many times goes unreported because of the fear of deportation. And I think that this is an issue that needs to have a searchlight shined on it before the public so that people will understand and they will know. And so that we can also, I guess, bring resolution to this issue. I think that there's probably several things that can contribute to that. I think that when families have financial stress and pressures, that certainly can contribute to domestic violence, as can drug habits, illegal drug habits, or alcoholism, which can also obviously contribute to domestic violence. But I think a thing that is also important to people is this. They find themselves, I was saying to somebody, a lot of times people don't know exactly what party to put a person like me in. And I really do believe that actually there's probably a vast majority of people in this nation that feel the same way. They believe that the middle class and the working families should be able to make fair wages, and they ought to be paid fair wages and have fair, decent benefits, not bankrupt businesses or put small business owners out of business, but be able to make fair wages to be able to support their families and have fair benefits, but also to be able to have a strong military that can be active and continue to be active in places throughout the world where there needs to continue to be stability. And there are many of us that are greatly concerned about the fact that the nation right now is going into record deficit. I mean, the deficit, well, the nation, it can't continue in the deficit it is. We're going into astronomical deficit. And so we're at the point of having to make what I believe are changes. It could be, I guess, either a new political party or changes in the political parties that are presently there. But to bring about resolution, money alone is not going to resolve this nation's problem. Much of the nation's problem is there is a spiritual and a moral deficit in the nation. And this spiritual and moral deficit needs to continue to be addressed by clergy, by members of the clergy, by people that are concerned about the moral stability of families and communities, of our states and of our nations. And I just pray with God's help and God's wisdom that He will help us turn the tide for this next generation. I also believe something that is very important is when people come to this nation, they should strive to learn English, and that all of the schools should teach English as at least a second language, as I realize that there may be other languages that may be a first language to some families, to some immigrants. But so that people strive to learn English so that we have a common language that unites us as Americans, and that people will strive to work and to be a part of the society, of the community, and be a helpful part of the community, and obviously to deport people that come into this nation illegally that are criminals. We don't need people coming in here that are drug dealers or gang members or criminals. And obviously those types of people should be deported. However, I believe that dividing people's families up and deporting part of people's families and keeping part of people's families here is certainly not the answer to stabilizing people's families and helping them assimilate and to become a positive part or role in a community or in the nation. And so I pray with that God will give us wisdom. We need God's wisdom. We need divine supernatural wisdom from Almighty God. And that is what we need to pray for in this nation. I'm an optimist, and I look for the good in people and in situations at most times in life. However, we also have to be realistic about the fact that this nation has been through an enormous amount of disaster that has been continuing the last couple of years, and it has continued on. Right now, with severe drought, wildfires, and the high winds driving wildfires in many of the western states. And now in the Midwest, we had record drought last year, but now many of the Midwestern states are now having record flooding. And so we need to pray for God's wisdom. 2 Chronicles 7:14 tells us, if my people that are called by my name will humble themselves, pray, seek my face, turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, and I will heal their land. And that is what we need in this nation, in this land. We need God's healing and His touch. And I pray for God's wisdom and His stability, to bring stability in people's lives and families. And I pray that God will give us wisdom to be able to have families that are pleasing to Him, and that we will have enough resources and time to successfully raise whatever children that we bring into this world, and that God will give us wisdom as to how to face families so that we can raise families that are honorable before God and that are an honor to this nation and in the world. And I just pray that all of us, I guess, at this time of Cinco de Mayo and festivities, that God will help us to look for the good in others, to try and find places of common ground where we can work together, and with God's help, that He will give us wisdom, supernatural, divine connections and wisdom to turn the tide for the next generation. And as a Christian, I believe in the rapture of the church. That's Jesus Christ coming to the earth again. And I pray that should Jesus tarry His coming, He will help us turn the tide and return stability, morality, and integrity for the next generation. God bless you.